one of the things that they talked about was making sure you don't try to sell, that you always educate your clients. They also talked about, cybersecurity is a great space to be in at this point, because that is obviously very important today. We've focused on our cybersecurity practice over the past 2 or 3 years. We're also moving into a regulatory and compliance framework, and we're looking to increase that business. I was happy to see that on the polls were pretty interesting too, I thought, and where we sat amongst, because we knew how we answered the questions in terms of expected downturns that we've seen, what we're seeing moving forward. So I like that, because I always like to compare myself to my peers in the industry, to not only learn what we should be doing, but also, again, confirm that what we're doing is working or not working. So I try and I work with service leadership in the past, and some of these other organizations, Paul Dippel's framework, and we're doing really well compared to other people I see in the industry. And it's because I believe we have done a lot of things we've been in business 32 years, so we're just about thinking of how we're getting it right now. And to hear from, industry leaders like Rob Ray, I respect him a lot. He's got a lot of value and cred. He's a great guy. I've met him several times at other events. So I always like to hear what he has to say, and more importantly, what the vendors are doing and what they will recommend that we do. So there's a lot of value in the seminars that you put on in a very compressed period of time. And I enjoy them very much. One thing that was missing, I thought, was a focus. I mean, they talked a lot about, obviously, marketing and educating clients and cybersecurity and the changes now, and that people are not getting dressed up in suits and ties every day. But one of the things that we focused on is our internal processes. We've really spent a lot of time over the past 2 or 3 months. We've started doing that. We always worked on that, obviously, always changing and trying to improve. We have 2 goals this year and last year, which is improving cybersecurity for ourselves and our clients by bringing in different stacks, so to speak, and no silver bullet that covers everything. So choosing those stacks wisely and the partners in those stacks and bringing that to the market is important. But the other important thing that we do on an ongoing basis is working on operational excellence and trying to get to operational maturity level 5. And this period of time, we were always set up to work remotely. In fact, we probably close the physical office 4 or 5 times a year when it's inclement weather and everybody works remote, and the clients don't even know the difference. They never did. So we've been set up for that probably for 6 or 8 years now. But what we've done in this totally remote world is we've realized that our productivity in some ways has actually gone up. And it's also been a way for us to better manage what everybody is doing and monitor what everybody is doing by delving into our PSA tools and the RMM tools and understanding what everybody is spending their time on, which is a little more difficult when you're all working remote. But given the tools that we have, AutoTask PSA and Bright Gauge and some other tools, we're able to really get some dashboards up and see exactly what's going on, even though we have people spread out as far as Indiana. We have a gentleman who lives in Indiana. So we're moving to a very distributed and remote workforce, and understanding how to best manage that and get all the metrics on that we need, and the KPIs and the OKRs to move forward and be as successful as we can be. One is that, again, we are all in the same boat together, and you sometimes forget that. And by coming together in these events, you begin to realize that you're part of a community that shares common experiences. So that was, as a business leader, I own the company. It's pretty lonely sometimes, and you think to some of the challenges that you're facing. I forget who said it on the webinar, but you know, we're all in this together, and the clients are, and kind of realizing that and recognizing that was important, because it helps me to figure out exactly what I should be doing and how to proceed and how to act. The other thing I got out of it was to really reach out to the vendors proactively. I forget who said it on the webinar again, but they said, you know, listen, we're here to help you. And you sometimes forget that, you know, because a lot of the systems we have in place with the vendors are automated now, ordering systems, and the systems learning what the new features are. A lot of that is not a personal sort of connection. So that was another learning point, was that, you know, maybe I really ought to pick up the phone and reach out to the vendors when I have a client who's struggling. Maybe they can offer some discounts or whatever, special things for that client. Or if we're struggling with something, or pricing or whatever, or availability, we usually reach out. But anything else, or I have a client that I'm not quite sure how to approach or how to help through this crisis, rather than trying to figure that out all on my own, go to the vendors, you know. And that was an excellent learning point for me, and helped me to understand that I'm not in this alone again. We're part of a community with the vendors and partners that we have. And another learning point, again, as I said before, was learning that we are doing a lot of things right, because they confirm you should be doing this, 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 and this. And I say, okay, well, we got 5 of those boxes checked. We ought to look at these other 5 boxes on, you know, webinars and things like that in terms of marketing. Oh, absolutely, and I absolutely have. Yeah, I'm a member of the SMB Alliance over at Ingram. I don't know if you're familiar with them at all, but you know, I have quite a few colleagues that we've gotten to be very friendly and you know, sociable and whatever, and we discuss, you know, what's relevant, what isn't relevant. So I've actually, you know, said that if you get an email from Rod, it's not just like another one of those, you know, a waste of time. Every time I've been to your events, I've gotten something valuable out